What's up, guys? Welcome to Javelins for Hire, Nerds Gone Rogue's Anthem podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, alongside me, right here to my right, the wise Wisconsinite, Jesse Douglas.
How's it going?
As always, Jesse. I was very excited because I thought we were going to have a bunch of stuff to talk about today because they said there's a big new news trailer coming out this week. And it was all the stuff that we've discussed in the last 3 episodes. Customization, progression, the Javelins, all that, the Fort Tarsus, all that stuff. So, not gonna lie, the trailer was great. Like there's a lot of graphical improvements, a lot of cleaned up menu stuff that they showed off, a lot of cool things that they showed off in that menu. Character animations look great. A lot of that stuff looks fantastic, but nothing new for people who have listened to this podcast.
Yeah.
So, kind of disappointed, but also really excited because they showed off some new customizations for the Javelins. They showed off some new co-op stuff. They kind of went into detail like last week on how different Javelins do different things with other Javelins, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, as much as I enjoyed that trailer, did you watch it? Did you watch it today?
No, I didn't get a chance to yet. I honestly I forgot that it had even come out. So yeah. I've been so busy lately trying to do other stuff, and then I guess I didn't even realize until today that it came out. So
yeah. So it's been a real kind of interesting workaround trying to find stuff to talk about today. But we've got two topics for you today. We're going to talk about the Dominion and the Monitor, who is the kind of main villain, I guess, quote unquote, in Anthem. And then we're going to talk about whether or not this game coming out before the Division or, after a Destiny expansion, does this put Anthem in a weird spot in terms of games people want to play as a service, because Division and Destiny are 2 really established things already. So,
yeah.
So I guess we're just gonna kind of get right into it here. We're gonna talk about Anthem's kind of villains, I guess, real quick here. Well, not real quick. We're gonna talk about the Dominion, which are we've established they are the villains of Anthem. I'm looking at this IGN First article here where they're talking about the villains. I'm just going to read the paragraph here. Generations earlier, the legendary General Tarsus formed the Legion of Dawn to keep the human population safe. Over centuries of conflict with Tarsus's legion resulted in the formation of various factions, each with their own unique motives. The Dominion, an aggressive military group from the north, is one such faction. One of the leaders, the Monitor, believes that he knows how to properly handle the Anthem of Creation. There's a specific place the Monitor needs to get to so he can control the Anthem, which is near Fort Tarsus's territory. Those big red glowing eyes with the large hands are called Furies. The Furies are one of the tougher opponents you'll be facing along your journey. So, yeah, the bad guy wants to do, quote-unquote, bad things with the Anthem of Creation. When you have the power of life and death and all of creation in your hands with bad intent. Normally things go wrong. I'm gonna throw it out there. So I pulled up a fandom article on the Monitor. There's not really much yet, just because it's we don't have the game yet and we haven't explored all the lore or anything. But the Monitor is the ruthless leader of the Dominion. He carries out his actions in the name of, quote, the greater good, which has resulted in his kingdom carrying out heinous acts in his name. The Monitor claims to have witnessed firsthand the destruction of civilizations in the world due to the Anthem of Creation. In the current day, he plans to use the Anthem for his own destructive desires, though claims that its power under his control, he could bring it into humanity's suffering. So Yeah, I mean, this guy kind of, militarized Legion he has going on here, kind of killing people for quote unquote the greater good, that kind of thing. Kind of seems like a bad guy.
It's a good direction though. Like, it's because a lot of times when you have a character that's just wants to be evil for no apparent reason, like, so hopefully we'll get to kind of just learn like what happened to him, who hurt him to make him want for this to happen. Like, did his parents die because of the creators or something, and then that just put him on a path to wanting to basically seek revenge or like something along those kind of lines, so that will be fun, kind of learning what reason put him on this path, to this. So hopefully that's something that they go into depth with as we're living out the story.
Yeah, and that's something BioWare does really well too, is flesh out their villains. With Mass Effect, you had Saren in the first game, and then the Elusive Man in the second game, and then kind of in the third game. But then you had the Reapers, which had their own kind of agenda. They do a good job with telling a villain's backstory, and even though, like, sometimes villains aren't really fleshed out in a way that you like them to, BioWare always does a decent job, at least in Mass Effect. I don't know about the villains and stuff in Dragon Age, though a lot of people do really like that series and those characters and the villains in that game as well. BioWare
Dragon Age is a pretty massive fan base. So
yeah, and I mean, like, BioWare hasn't become BioWare by creating crappy characters, right? That's their thing, is character-driven RPGs. Also, by the way, maybe the best story about a villain ever, Knights of the Republic. So, Darth Revan is kind of the bread and butter of a good storytelling about a bad guy. So, I don't want to spoil that game, but it's real good. It's real good. So the way they handle that story is pretty cool. So, but yeah, I want to see this character's motivations. I want to see why. Like, was he part of the Legion of Dawn and split off because he didn't believe in what they were doing? Like you said, did they like straight up murder his family when he was little and he wants revenge? Like, what's the deal here? Why is he the quote unquote bad guy? Is he going to be sympathetic? Is he going to be some sort of character we can relate to on some level? Because that's kind of what makes the best villain, is someone that you kind of sympathize for. And it's like, I mean, to compare it to like TV or something, it's why people like Tony Soprano, or why people like Frank Underwood in House of Cards, or you know what I mean? Like, they're villains that you cheer for almost because you relate to them on certain levels. And so it's always fun, when you have those games where you think that you're playing as the good guys, and then there's a twist and you find out that, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually playing as the bad guys. Like, those kind of things are always fun too. So like when you have a bad guy that you can like completely end up relating with because you find out that actually the bad guy was the good guy. Like, I don't know that that's going to be the case in this game, but it's like those kind of things are always make for an interesting game. And just and for them to kind of, if they make the bad guy have some kind of legit reason where you could be like, I could see why he would be pretty pissed off, But. So I mean, I'm interested to see the other big twist here too that we haven't really talked about is they use the same kind of tech that humans use for javelins, right? They have the quote unquote Valkyries, which is their version of the javelins. They use they use the same tech. So I want to see how that ties into the story as well.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to click on this Dominion thing here.
Yeah, it does make it seem like maybe he was part of the team that built those at first, and then something happened where he just branched off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read this thing here about the Dominion, because this might give us a little bit of an idea into why the Dominion is the opposing force in this game. The Dominion is based in a kingdom located to the north of Fort Tarsus. It is led by the mysterious individual known as the Monitor, which we just discussed. The Dominion believe the way to survival is peace through force. So they kind of sound like bad guys. And keep people on short leashes in terms of freedom, while the Monitor directs the Dominion for what he believes is the greater good. This means the Dominion is willing to carry out heinous acts in pursuit of its goals. The Dominion is an ancient enemy of the Freelancers, whom they are philosophically opposed to. They have always been a threat to Fort Tarsus, and in the present day, they remain in conflict with the Freelancers. Like the Freelancers, the Dominion has access to Javelins. Notably, they designed the Storm Javelin through it, though it later fell into the hands of the Freelancers. Their version of the Storm Javelin is known as the Valkyrie, which they kind of modified, and they have similar but different attributes to the Storm Javelin. So the Dominion is attempting to use the Anthem of Creation as a weapon in order to establish their rule over the world. To achieve this, they seek to retrieve Shaper relics. The Freelancers moved to stop them, as the Dominion's actions were putting everyone at risk. So yeah, so that, what we were just talking about, we were wondering how they kind of fit into the why they use javelins as well, and it turns out they designed one of them. So there's that tie there. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So by the way, they're looking for these Shaper relics. So what Shaper relics are? They are the massive tools used by the Shapers, which are the gods that abandon the world, to create the world, which were able to tap into the mysterious Anthem of Creation to form it. The Shapers endeavored to complete their work in 9 days, but suddenly vanished on the third, leaving the instruments behind. In the present day, these relics litter the landscape. While the relics have been long abandoned, they are by no means dormant. They continue to tap into, quote, echoes of the Anthem of Creation, and activate at random with often destructive consequences, leaving the world in a constant state of change and largely inhospitable, save for the Freelancers equipped with Javelin exosuits. The relics can both spawn life and mutate existing life. So this kind of sounds like when you encounter a Shaper relic within the game, at least, it sounds like the Shaper relics are going to form the either the public event style things, or the different events that happen in the world, because they did say the world is going to be the same for everyone, despite what instance you're in. So if there's a storm rolling in, everybody's going to experience the storm. If there's one of these Shaper relics decides to do something, it's happening, and it changes everybody's world. So
it's cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the whole elemental thing that they did, or the season stuff that they did with Forza and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like where like you have the actual seasons affect everyone.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how, because what if you go into a stronghold, and the strongholds have the Shapers, and you need to I don't know, figure out how to harness the Shaper to manipulate the world or whatever. I don't know. I think it's gonna be kind of cool to see, but
yeah, that would be kind of cool if if there was if there would be kind of like in Destiny, you had the events or whatever.
Yeah, the public events.
Public events. Like, what if they have it where there's public events that are tied around that, and like people could not be in that public event doing stuff, and after the public event is done, like whatever like lightning storm was happening in a certain area would stop because of someone finishing the public event, and then people outside of the event could notice a change in the weather or a change in the whatever because of someone finishing that, regardless if they were in the event or not. Like, like they could, kind of do something cool like that with that whole idea.
Yeah. Talked a little bit about it on Dark Zone Junkies about on the Divisions side, but the big question is Anthem able to survive and even thrive in a world where Destiny and the Division are already established, and even a game like Fortnite, there's a lot of, I don't want to say negativity against Anthem, but there's a lot of skepticism against Anthem to see if BioWare can pull off a multiplayer RPG. We know they have a great track record with single player RPGs, but a lot of people kind of felt burned by Mass Effect Andromeda, and like, we talked a little bit about it on the first episode where, Mass Effect Andromeda was a misstep, but it was also a different team, and there were certain things within EA that kind of forced that game out when it wasn't finished and stuff like that. So, do you think what?
I was gonna say, didn't they have to like redo a whole bunch of stuff at some point or something like that?
Well, what they did was they 18 months before launch they switched engines. So
that's right.
They kind of had to build the game around a new engine because they were using Unreal, which is what Mass Effect the original trilogy runs on. So they were building this game on Unreal, which they were very familiar with. They had everything running on it and whatever, and they had some unique ideas that they could do it in Unreal because it's a little bit more flexible than what Frostbite was at the time. They wanted almost a No Man's Sky style vibe to it, where like you go to these planets, you kind of explore and kind of make camps and stuff on these different planets and harvest resources, almost kind of like almost in a Harvest Moon style way, where you're like harvesting resources that after time intervals you gain the resources and you can go like you have them shipped back to your ship and stuff. Like it was really cool ideas, and then they kind of got forced down this path where they had to switch everything over, and they couldn't use their ideas because it was going to take more time, and they needed to get the game out or whatever. So, so a lot of people have some skepticism towards Anthem because some people just see the BioWare name and don't recognize that hey, there's two teams. There's like 3 or 4 teams now, and this was their first time making a full game when they've just been a support studio since, Dragon Age, the first one, Origins, I guess it was what it was called. So, do you think people have the right to be skeptical about Anthem?
It's kind of okay. So this is what I'm gonna say. Like, just again, like what we just kind of talked about, all the reasons why the last game they made didn't do well. There was a lot of things that kind of just ended up not being ideal for them creating a game wise, But the thing is all the other Mass Effects before that game were great. They were amazing. Like, and because of the fact that we can point to a reason why maybe things didn't turn out as well as they should have, in my opinion, is enough of a reason to not have as much worry about this game, because now they know that they're using the Frostbite engine, so they they day one, the second they started working on this game, they were doing what they needed to do in the system that they were going to be using throughout the full game. So there's no setbacks like that, that they're having to deal with, really. I mean, I'm sure there's setbacks that we won't hear about until later, like when devs talk about like, oh, well, we were having issues trying to get this sequence to work, or like the in-depth things that a lot of devs don't really talk about always. But I mean, for the most part, though, I just think that they've kind of knew what they wanted to do. They've been doing it, and they're, for the most part, there hasn't really been any setbacks or any reasons for us to be worried about it.
Yeah,
I feel like, like I can see, and then this is where I say I can see where people are going to be skeptical or whatever of it, is just because of the EA name. And at this point, EA doesn't exactly have the greatest, like, not everyone is fond of EA and the directions that they've gone, recently. But I feel like it's in EA's best interest for them to kind of just let BioWare do what BioWare does and has done for years and brought them a lot of money. And I think EA understands as well as we do that, yeah, it's probably not easy for you to have to switch an engine in the middle of the game. So we'll give you that. The last game, it didn't work out. That's fine. I just think that EA may kind of be, just kind of letting them do their thing.
Yeah, because I like you said, I think EA needs a win more than BioWare does right now.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
look at the fiasco they're in with the Star Wars license, right? Like, there's a thing that came out a couple days ago where BioWare pitched Knights of the Old Republic 3 to EA, and they said no because they wanted a games as a service game, right? They wanted that game that people are going to keep coming back to and spend money on and that kind of stuff, right? And so I don't know if Anthem spawned out of that or if people were just like, hey, we're just gonna make Anthem now, I guess, or if they had two projects in the works or what. But like, the thing is EA needs that win because of they're halfway through their Star Wars contract and they've produced 2 games outside of the mobile stuff, right? Like 2 pretty mediocre Battlefront games, one of which was in hot water due to the pay to win stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, there's that, but then there's also, they don't have anything else besides sports, right? And granted, Madden and FIFA alone make them a ton of money every year, but Battlefield is kind of on a downhill slope. I don't know if we played the beta for Battlefield 5, but like, Battlefield's kind of on a downhill slope. Medal of Honor doesn't exist anymore. Titanfall 2 didn't sell super well, even though like it was a fantastic game. Like, didn't sell well. So like, EA needs a win more than BioWare does right now, and I think Anthem. I think EA is going to let them do with Anthem what they need to do with it. Right? They've already delayed it a year, right? And so it's hard because I really think that Anthem is going to be great. I have a feeling. Sorry. Well, that was weird. I went to sneeze and then it didn't come out, and then like my nose got really stuffy for a second, and then it just didn't come out. I think. I hope with Anthem, people like, let's use Destiny as an example. When Destiny 1 came out, right? A lot of people thought that Destiny was going to be Halo plus Borderlands, right? With like, okay, it's a loot shooter RPG, right? Where like there's going to be new guns every 5 seconds. There's going to be loot on the ground everywhere, and it turned out not to be that. And a lot of people were kind of disappointed in Destiny, and you know, at first because of that, and then the real reasons kind of started kicking in, and you know, didn't even really get fixed until the Taken King a year later. But
yeah,
you know, I really hope people go into Anthem with the right expectations. Like, I think they've made their messaging clear, right? They're putting out so many dev streams. They're putting out, I mean, that trailer, for example, was such a perfect piece of like, here's what Anthem is, right? You can customize your Javelin however you want. The Under Armor stuff is the stuff that you collect out in the world, where the Over Armor stuff is kind of like this is how you do customization, this is how you do progression, this is how you upgrade weapons, these are the legendary weapons, these are the strongholds, here's the difference between the Javelins. They've really gotten that message out there, right? And I think that's great.
Yeah.
I hope enough people see that, but like, I think that message is great. And in terms of competition, like right now, Destiny is kind of in a weird spot with you know, splitting from Activision and Luke Smith, which if you want to check out Tower Casuals, we're going to talk about what Luke Smith said about the future of Destiny. They seem pretty committed to Destiny, but there's some things in the immediate future that's like, okay, we've got a roadmap for content, but as we make this transition, maybe it's not going to be kind of what we wanted, what, you know, Activision wanted it to be. It's going to be kind of, we're transitioning to it how we want it to be and how we want it to move forward. So a lot of Destiny players are going to have to be patient with that. So and you know, we talked about how there's that kind of Ubisoft cluster community where like, okay, we'll play The Division, and then we'll check out the new operators in Rainbow Six, and then we'll play some Ghost Recon when the new content for that comes out. Like, there's this kind of Ubisoft games as a service community, and then there's the other games as a service community. And I think the only real kind of quote-unquote threat for Anthem right now is getting people to jump ship from something like Fortnite or Call of Duty, right? And not to say that they're in direct competition, but like getting people into a new games as a service this late in a console cycle is going to be their challenge, right? It's not going to be that oh, Destiny has a big expansion coming out at the same time, so Anthem's not going to survive because they have a new expansion or something, right? It's going to be how do you market a new games as a service this late in the console cycle when games like Fortnite and Blackout are so popular?
Yeah, and I honestly though I feel like in some ways it's kind of a good thing that Anthem is like, because it's not coming out to all systems right away, right?
What, Anthem?
Anthem. I forget. Is it coming out to everything?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Xbox One, PC, and PS4.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I was thinking that they had an exclusive deal with Xbox.
Well, if you have EA access, you get it a week early. Well, 10 hours worth of it early, but
yeah. Okay, so that's what they're doing. Well, I was gonna say, well, the thing is too, like, you know, when comparing this to Destiny, like, so with Destiny, they basically, you know, probably could have used a year, you know, the game being delayed for another year, like Anthem was. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping. Well,
that's the thing too with Destiny is everything was already delayed a year.
Yeah.
Destiny 1 vanilla was delayed a year.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the problem with Destiny, which we'll talk a little bit about Tower Casuals, because I've actually been going back and researching a bunch of Destiny stuff. But the short story is the thing with Tower Casual, or the thing with Destiny is, like, it was supposed to come out in 2013, I think. 2013, I think, and it came out in 2014. Yeah. But when the game was supposed to come out, they scrapped the whole campaign, which is why the vanilla campaign was kind of not great. The lead writer left. A bunch of production leads left because they were feuding. They had internal feuds, not just with it. It was more of like, hey, we're feuding internally with the higher ups of Bungie because the Bungie higher ups are feuding with Activision, right? Because Activision wants it this way. So in order for us to make our publisher happy, we have to do it this way. And everybody was like, we're not having that. And they ended up leaving, right? So there's that whole issue. And then the Taken King expansion was supposed to be a part of Destiny 1 vanilla. Yeah. And then after that, like, Destiny 2 was delayed a year, and they put Rise of Iron together in like 5 months to have an expansion instead of another game proper. So there's all kinds of things with Destiny that just kind of made it, you know, it was in trouble from the start. So but you know, after that, it's like Anthem has already been delayed a year. I think they've been working on this game since Mass Effect 3 wrapped, and Mass Effect 3 wrapped in what, 2012 ish. Yeah, I'm trying to think when Mass Effect 3 came out.
That sounds right.
So
that sounds right because.
If only I had a device in front of me that could tell me when things came out.
Well, and I think the thing is too is like I doubt there was any kind of feuding or anything going on that would cause things to be delayed even more so, like as far as progress goes. So like what I was basically gonna say is the thing is that just the fact that EA let them have delay it another a year says that they're trying to work with them and give them the time they need to finish it and do it correctly. And I think the thing is too is like I think this Anthem is basically gonna be their destiny, their ambitious new thing that they wanted to do that takes from the games they've made in the past and try to just really push their abilities to its fullest and really give us a really good new experience. That's how I look at it, and just the fact that EA, because just the fact that they let them do that, is a big deal in my opinion, because a lot of the times you hear about these companies, these creators who want to do this big ambitious project, and the only way they can do it is by leaving the people who are publishing or basically owned them at the time. And the fact that EA has kind of let them do that is a positive for them. That they actually let them do something different and didn't just force them into making more of the same game over and over and over again. So the fact that they didn't have to leave EA in order to give us Anthem is a good sign in itself, in my opinion.
Yeah. So that's kind of as we wrap up here, I kind of just want to say that like Anthem is a different beast from everything that I've consumed in the last 2 weeks, which, believe me, is a lot. So much. It's such a different beast than something like Destiny as of right now. And I was looking at the map of the world, which I actually thought about talking about on this episode, but we'll save it for next week, where the map is gigantic, but you can make a map that gigantic when you're not going, like Destiny, you're going to planet after planet after planet after planet to do new stuff. And not that those worlds are small, but by any stretch, but it's not a huge kind of open space that you can go to like an Anthem, where Anthem's going to be a huge open world with all kinds of different sectors that you can go explore and whatever, and it's just a really cool looking game. And I think that it has a lot going for it in the terms of people want to feel like Iron Man, right? And people want to be able to play with their friends and fly around in these suits and explore the world. And I think it really has that going for them. And, I really think it's going to be a different, unique experience from Destiny. And I can't wait to play it, because the stuff they were showing off with the Colossus Javelin yesterday on a live stream was just like, it was really cool, man. Like, the way they kind of had their build built around this Colossus was like, it was literally just a walking tank that could heal everybody. Where like it kind of walked in front of everybody with this big kind of like almost like a riot shield almost.
Oh, okay.
And like they had the support shield thing on it where they just were able to heal people within a vicinity, and people were like flying around behind it and taking out enemies and swooping back behind it to heal and coming back up and shooting more enemies. And then they showed that mini nuke weapon that the Colossus had, and it was just, oh my gosh, it's going to be so cool. So
yeah, I can't wait. I still do need to go. I kind of want to watch some stuff, like some gameplay stuff, because I've been trying to kind of stay away from it and just only kind of learning what I absolutely need to for the show.
Yeah.
But like because I'm kind of in between like you and Ed, where like Ed doesn't really want to see anything at all. He doesn't even want to listen to this show because he wants to just completely go in blindly. And like part of me wants to be that way, but at the same time I kind of want to learn like a whole bunch of like what we talk about. I don't feel like is much of a spoiler. It's just like being informed about something before going into it, so like we're trying to hopefully help people understand things and have a positive feeling about it going into the game, versus just listening to what negative stuff people might be saying without any idea of what they're even talking about. Like that's my issue. Is I don't mind if people want to be critical about games, but you should probably just make sure that you're like, giving it a try first, and just understand things a little bit before you start just, trying to be negative about it, because it just doesn't help anyone ultimately. Yeah. And with the way social media is and stuff now, it's so easy for people to get, poor information about things. Yeah. And it's just like, I really want people to for this to be something massive for us that we get to enjoy, and everyone else, people who listen to this show, or just people who like, Mass Effect and all that stuff. Like, I'm hoping that it's a good balance between people who like games like Destiny and people who like the Mass Effect series, like kind of bringing that kind of stuff together. Yeah. Like I really just hope it does good, because like BioWare deserves it, and and like you said, like EA needs a win at this point. They need to be able to prove why they were such a big company for so many years. So
yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Javelins for Hire. I want to thank everybody for watching and making this podcast a big success for us, at least in terms of listeners and downloads and stuff. We're getting a couple new subscribers every day on YouTube, and increased viewership. And I want to apologize for not getting those videos up like I said I was, because turns out making a gameplay video and not a podcast is way harder than I know we do stuff for Squaggles and stuff, but it's not like we press record on the video and then we just let it go, right? We don't actually make cuts or do anything that deep. So it turns out it's pretty hard when you're trying to do all that. So
and juggle everything else on top of it.
Yeah. So I mean, they'll be up soon. I'm trying, everybody. So I'm hoping to have them up this week. So if you want to head on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe, you'll know when those are coming. So I want to thank everybody for watching. You can follow us on Twitter at Javelins for Hire. You can email us at javelinsforhire@gmail.com. And you can also find all of our shows and content on ngrradio.com. I really encourage you guys to go subscribe to our other channels as well. Dark Zone Junkies, Tower Casuals, that's our Division and Destiny channels respectively. And I think that's it. If you're interested in Nintendo, you can check out Nintendo Pal Block. If you're interested in PlayStation, you can check out Nerds Gone Platinum. And if you're interested in Xbox content, you can check out Arsenal X. And of course, Nerds Gone Rogue Prime, which is where it kind of we spawned off of. So thank you guys for watching. And actually next week we'll be able to have gameplay impressions for you. So because the demo is coming and we will be able to talk about the demo. So
it's coming.
I know. I'm so excited, dude. We're actually gonna be able to talk about Anthem next week. So stay tuned next week. I'm very excited to talk about that. And until next week, we love you.
Bye.